Namaste, hello, and welcome back to another video on Papyrus and Parchment. My name is Bonnie, and today's video is going to be about a very special theme that I'm going to start off. So this is something which I'm bringing back, which was on this channel since the year 2020 when I first joined BookTube. And if you have been following this channel, and if you know me from when I started on BookTube first, you would know that I'm talking about Florence Nightingale, who was the pioneer and iconic figure in Victorian history. So 12th of May 2026 marks the 206th birthday anniversary of Florence Nightingale, which is also observed as International Nurses Day. And I will be focusing most of my reading around Florence Nightingale, around Victorian healthcare in a historical sense, as well as the challenges which she faced and her experiences and her family members and other friends who actually helped her to achieve her goals, as well as her contemporaries and those who succeeded her, as well as I'll be throwing in some nursing fiction and a few books on modern nursing memoir or memoirs written by modern nurses. So I've always been intrigued and fascinated by Florence Nightingale and her principles, and I would love to explore more. So so far I have created some content about her, and I've tried to create readathons and read-alongs, which have changed names over the years, but then I'm trying to make this a staple from now on this particular channel. So for the months of May and June, I'm going to be doing something called Florence Nightingale Summer Reads, and I'm going to post videos on this and put them under the hashtag of #Nightingale Summers. So if you are interested in anything about Victorian healthcare, or maybe Florence Nightingale herself, or anything associated with history within the Victorian age or during that time frame, or maybe modern nursing, or maybe even nursing fiction, or maybe a murder mystery involving a nurse, you could definitely join in. Just make sure that you put your video under the hashtag of Nightingale Summers, or append that in the video so that I can go through it as well, and I would really appreciate that. And if you do so, if you plan to join in and you find this topic interesting, do please leave a comment in the comment section below so I can get back to you on it. And I will be sharing my books very soon, so do please join me further in this video. Welcome back. So I do have all the information written in front of me, and right about now I'm going to share the books that I plan on reading. So the first three books are fiction, which summarize Florence Nightingale's journey in a fictional format, and I just came across this recently and it was very exciting. So this has been written by Sidney J. James, and I'm not going to talk much about the books, otherwise this will be a very long video. So to shorten it up, I'm just going to mention a line or two about every book. So the first book that I'm reading is Florence Nightingale, The Calling, a biographical historical novel of faith, compassion, and the birth of modern nursing. So this is about, I believe, Florence Nightingale, her childhood, and her training, as well as what contributed to her calling as a medical healthcare provider. The second novel that I have is also by Sidney St. James, and this is the second in the series. So this is called Florence Nightingale, The Battlefield of Reform, a biographical historical novel of war, resistance, and the women who transformed medicine. So in this we see Florence Nightingale's journey and experiences and her work in the hospitals of Scutari, and what changes she tried to make as to the changes she made in the approach of nursing, as well as how it all went about, and live experiences of every wound which was there on the soldier, and how she had to struggle with the shortage of supplies, etc., and how she had to pull strings from all corners of the world. So I believe this is what is encompassed in the second story. And the third novel is called Florence Nightingale, The Legacy of Light, a biographical historical novel of leadership, data, and the women who changed healthcare forever. So this is probably about Florence Nightingale after she comes back from Scutari, and how she tries to make her way through the top tier, and tries to get nursing as a proper profession for young women who could give healthcare to people who were not only impoverished, and who not only were suffering from severe diseases, but also to the military, and what sort of influences were experienced, as well as what sort of influence Florence Nightingale had over other successors, or most of her nursing successors. So that's what these three are about. So I have read Florence Nightingale's history and biography, but I believe I would like to try out something in a novel format this time. So those are the first three books on my TBR. The next book is something which I've been looking forward to. It has not arrived yet. It's going to arrive somewhere around mid-month. So this is a biography called Nightingales, The Extraordinary Upbringing and Curious Life of Miss Florence Nightingale by Gillian Gill. And I have been looking forward to this book. So it provides information about the upbringing of Florence Nightingale and her family ties in detail. So it is quite fascinating, and it talks about Florence Nightingale's upbringing, as well as how her father, who had very different views from what most men of Victorian era had, as far as education of women are concerned. So the next book that I have is about one of the contemporaries of Florence Nightingale, and I just cannot do without reading about her as well. So this is Mary Seacole, the charismatic black nurse who became a heroine of the Crimea by Jane Robinson. So this is about Mary Seacole, who was rejected by Florence Nightingale, and she went against all the norms, and being a nurse of the Jamaican descent, but she was, of course, English. So not English, I think she was Scottish. So she went against the norms, and she tried her very best to provide healthcare to the frontline soldiers. And she used to actually go into the battlefield after the day was over, and she used to try and help the wounded and try to help them back, nurse them back. And she had also opened a hotel when it came to the battlefield, so of Crimea, and she was called the Angel of Crimea. So that's something very interesting, and it's always fascinating to know about the struggles which Mary Seacole had and the way she approached them. So that's another book which I have on my TBR. The next book on my TBR is A Nurse's Tale, an extraordinary and moving historical novel inspired by a true story of World War II by Ola Awonub. And this is about a Nigerian princess who trains as a nurse in London, and she goes and tries to provide healthcare to during World War II. So she's met with a lot of prejudices, and she has to overcome them. And what experiences she has is what this novel is all about. So this is a real life story, and being in the novel format, it actually makes this even more fun to read. So that's the next book. Now, coming over to a non-fiction book. So this is called Extraordinary Nurses Throughout History in Honor of Florence Nightingale. So this gives the lives and the career choices of 8 young women who became nurses, and they were all either predecessor or successors to Florence Nightingale, and how Florence Nightingale's teachings and her choices in her career and her thoughts changed their lives forever. So I'm quite excited to read this, because I picked up this book during one of the readathons which I had hosted previously, a long time ago, but I could not get to all of them. So I hope I'll be able to finish the entire book this time. The next book that I have is one which has been written by Florence Nightingale herself, and these are the letters from Crimea. So this is an excellent book which has a collection of letters which Florence Nightingale penned down to her correspondents from Crimea. So it gives in detail everything that she experienced, as well as everything she struggled with, and all her fears, as well as all her frustrations with the way the government worked at that point of time, and the insufficiency of funds, as well as supplies, and the way she had to struggle to pull up strings and get her own family involved to ensure that she succeeds in her goals. So the next book that I have is called Suggestions for Thought by Florence Nightingale. Now, this has been edited by Michael de Calabria and Janet A. Macrae, and this is a bunch of commentaries and essays which have been written by Florence Nightingale, and it has been written to inspire people from every professional background to contribute to their country in their own respective field, and it's actually excellent. I had read this before, and I would love to get back to it again, because it's just about how your profession can become your own calling and a service to God. So this is what this book is all about. And the next book is very intriguing, because I just stumbled across it recently, and this is called Florence Nightingale's Sister, the Lesser Known Activism of Parthenope, Verney, written by Lynn Hamilton. So as we know, Parthenope is the elder sister of Florence Nightingale. So as Florence Nightingale evolved into an iconic figure, Parthenope was the force which was driving her to succeed in every venture that was being selected, as well as Parthenope herself was a very popular journalist, and she was a very famous writer. I mean, not exactly famous, but she was a successful writer, and she also helped in getting the supplies over to Florence Nightingale at Scutari Hospital during the Crimean War, and she played a major role, but she is somehow overshadowed by the iconic fame that Florence Nightingale has achieved. So this is a book which actually focuses and throws a spotlight on everything that Parthenope has contributed to Florence Nightingale's success. And one of the novels which I'm really looking forward to reading this summer is called The Grief Nurse by Angie Spoto. And this is about this nurse who has the ability to take somebody's grief away and convert it into something beautiful. And she has been hired by somebody, by a very wealthy and influential family who live off the land. They actually live on a small island and away from others, and they try to keep their family very close and happy. So that's why they have hired Angie for her services. But then there is a loss in the family, a tragedy strikes, and there are people who are coming from the island, from outside the island, and I'm sorry, not Angie, the protagonist. Angie's the author. I'm so sorry. I'll just rephrase that again. So we have the nurse. I'm not sure. I think the nurse is called Lynx. So Lynx is actually in the middle of a scandal which happens, and there is suspicion, and there is jealousy, and there is a lot of hatred which is going on. And being a grief nurse, it's her job to convert all this into something positive, which she finds very difficult. And because she is in the center of, or she becomes the epicenter of a huge conspiracy which happens, so she needs to find out a solution to get out and prove her innocence. So this is what the story is about. And The next book that I have is something which I had read. I don't know if I have this in front of me. So this is Florence Nightingale, a biography, The Woman and Her Legend by Mark Bostridge. So I had annotated it when I first read it. This is an excellent book, and it's quite well researched, and it's very vast. So it gives a detail about Florence Nightingale's family tree. It's also giving details about the events which had happened and unfolded in Scutari. So Mark Bostridge has done an excellent job. It's just that the font of this book is so tiny that it will be difficult for me to read the entire book, but I'm going to go very slowly, and I think 2 months should be sufficient time for me to get across that one. The next book on my TBR is called No Place for Ladies, The Untold Story of Women in the Crimean War by Helen Rapport. And this will be a reread for me. I'd read it way back in 2020 or 2021, and I had tried to annotate it as well. I've spoken in length about this book, but I really want to get back to this book and reread it. It gives excellent information about circumstances during the Crimean War and what the state of the military was, as well as how the soldiers were treated and what facilities they had. It gives a very raw look at the conditions, or the poor conditions of healthcare, especially for the wounded soldiers, and how Florence Nightingale went and changed the entire game, despite the fact that the doctors never used to believe in them. So that is an excellent book. And the last book, in fact, this is not a book actually, it's a series, and this is called the Nightingale series by Donna Douglas. So I have the entire series with me. It's still, I mean, I've just finished about the first or the second one, but I'd like to go through the entire series. Maybe it is going to take me the entire year, but I'm going to start now during the month of May and probably continue reading it, because these are also part of my one by one project, so which is all about reading from the shelf. So these are on my shelf, so I'll be reading about this as well. There are other books which I do have in mind, but then let me get through this, because this seems to be a massive TBR for 2 months. So hopefully I should be able to get through it. So do let me know what you think about this entire theme. And if you are interested in knowing about Florence Nightingale, or just reading about historical fiction which happened during that time, you're definitely welcome. Just share your videos and append the hashtag Nightingale Summers to it, and that would be all. So that's all I have for you today. I will see you very soon in another video. So till then, take care, have a good reading week ahead, and namaste.